Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Art of Thriving, Beautiful Souls. I'm your host, Vela, and we've had a sweet little break over the Christmas period, and somehow I've blinked and it's already the end of March. So it feels like the perfect moment to be dropping back in, reconnecting, and getting things moving again. And I firstly just wanted to say a massive thank you, truly. The support for the show last year honestly blew me away. For a first year, it exceeded anything I expected, and it means so much to me that you've been here listening and sharing and receiving what's been created in this space. And it makes me even more excited to step back in with you now, feeling fresh, inspired, and ready for what I know is going to be an even more powerful second year. And what can really help that is that if you've been enjoying the show, you've been excited for what's to come, I'd love if you hit the subscribe button and leave a review, because this really helps support the podcast to reach new people, helps us expand, and helps us make the show even more better and better for you. Now, behind the scenes, it took me most of last year, but I finally streamlined my editing process, which might sound small, but it actually feels huge, given this is a one-woman show at the moment with all the behind-the-scenes stuff. And it's opened up so much more space and energy for me to focus on what really matters and how I can make this experience even richer, deeper, and more valuable for you. And after the feedback I received last year, I'm also going to commit to doing more solo episodes this year. Just me to you, weaved alongside some really beautiful conversations with guests over the coming months. And today's episode is one of those. I actually planned to open this year with a solo episode, but after sitting with this conversation and feeling it into everything that's unfolding in the world right now, it felt more important to begin here. So, introducing today's guest, I have Melody Lubin. Melody is a mentor and a guide devoted to supporting women to live fully expressed through their bodies, building a life built from desire, and living one's own dharma. And personally, I admire and respect Melody's transmissions so much. They are clear, potent, and cut through straight to the heart. So, before we dive into that, just a quick message from today's sponsor. Now, this is from my heart to yours. I took a major step back last year from facilitating, and in that spaciousness, I surrendered up all my ideas about my work and listened to the slow emergence of what wanted to come through. And what has emerged is a body of work I am so incredibly excited to share with you. So, introducing SENSUOUS. Now, the truth is, as a woman, our bodies hold a power most of us have never been taught how to access. We are wired to sustain and birth life. We are wired to be highly intuitive, plugged into information beyond the physical, and our influence, when heart-led, can birth movements. So I've created a space to fortify and amplify these feminine gifts. This is a feminine mastery program, and this is for the woman who wants to descend into the raw central power of her spirit and who wants to take her work, her impact, and her leadership to the next level. And I say leadership because I've built this for the woman who knows she's here for big impact. And if you look around, we clearly need that now more than ever. More women stepping into their genius and into their gifts, because this work ripples not only through you, but into every area of your life and your lineage. And there is nothing more influential than a woman who knows who she is and is connected to her eros, her heart, and her intuition. So SENSUOUS is a 14-week online program, and we start on April 26th. There are limited spaces, and you can apply via the link in the show notes. And so if you feel called, I look forward to connecting with you. And so without further ado, let's dive in. So welcome, Melody, to the Art of Thriving podcast. And you've flown all the way to Melbourne just for this.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. It feels right. Yeah, when you invited me, I was just like, let's go do this in person. There's such a beautiful aliveness that can happen here when we're together. So thanks for having me.
Pleasure. I always do a little bit of a drop-in just to start, like a little check-in. How are you feeling in your body today?
Yeah, I'm feeling present. I'm feeling grounded. I'm feeling the vulnerability of the intimacy of being so close.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, and I'm feeling curious and playful. Yeah.
Beautiful.
How are you feeling?
Really good. Yeah, this is the first episode for 2026, and it feels really perfect that it's with you and that you've come here to do it, and that we're in this beautiful space overlooking the city. And yeah, I feel like tuning into the podcast this year and where I wanted to take it, this feels like it's setting a really yummy bar already. We haven't even started talking yet, but so I'm feeling grateful. Yeah.
Cool. I'm excited to see where it weaves for the year.
I wanted to ask you to kick us off. Yeah, because obviously, you know, I haven't seen you. We haven't really spent a lot of time together over the last few years, and naturally, so much evolves in your work. But at the moment, what would you feel for our listeners feels like the essence or the quintessence of what you're sharing at the moment?
Yeah, I feel like the common thread between all of my work is living life as a living creation. And how do we live life in connection with the creation that wants to be weaved through us uniquely, like my unique path and your unique path. And all of the work that I teach is how do we stay on that? Like, how do we keep listening to it? How do we keep hearing it? How do we keep being adjusted by the direction of where it wants to take us? And like, all of my containers are really how do we keep listening to the most honest, true, authentic thing that wants to move through us, and how do we dedicate our lives to that listening? You know, I do so many. It's desire. It's that aliveness, it's that pulse, it's that creation, whether it's in relationship, whether it's in where do you live in the world, whether it's in the people that are surrounding you, whether it's what you're serving. It's like, what's the thing that we're hearing to be led by? And I think that's the essence of all of my work, is how do we stay on that pulse? Yeah.
Yum.
Yeah.
That feels really crucial in general, but I feel particularly at this time. And I was literally having a conversation with my family this morning, and just like, you know, it's normal for most of humanity, I feel, to feel the programming around limitations, or I can't do that because, and there's X amount of reasons why, and they can be so valid. And it takes so much courage to like trust that knowing and also develop like a strength in it. But I'd love to ask, what do you feel like you've noticed happens when people do follow that knowing?
Yeah, we go straight into, well, when we follow the knowing, I think it's an honest titration of experiencing bliss and expansion and truth and alignment and all these things that we hear spoken about, flow, etc., etc. And then it's also the polarity of that, where it's fear, scarcity, contraction, resistance, limitations. And it's the constant titration of both of those pieces. And I guess it's like, where we're navigating in our programming, how do we sit above it? How do we keep choosing something that's above what the programming actually is, where it's not that it doesn't exist, but it's that we're choosing something that is almost like we're tapping into something completely different, where it exists, but there is another way. And I think that relationship with the intimacy of our soul and the trusting of that is a very vulnerable experience. It's really, I don't like the word scary, but it's scary. Yeah, it's vulnerable, it's scary, it's a lot of unknown, and that relationship, and collectively at the moment, we are being consistently asked to be in the unknown. That is what keeps happening, right? We keep making plans, and then these plans can't go ahead, and we keep feeling like we're getting momentum, and then the momentum pauses. And so we have that on a collective scale, and then we have that individually too. And so when we choose that path, it's like, I just really believe that our the experience, especially as a feminine being, is surrender. And can we keep surrendering to the pulse we experience, the situations, the blockages, etc., so we can keep following it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm just feeling my inner world in response to that. It's like, oh, I know both states so well. And I have, thankfully, the reference point for where I felt it so strongly, and I've acted from that place of impulse, and how divinely things have been orchestrated. Like even during COVID lockdowns, like just making plans, and they're like, the borders are closed. I'm like, it'll be fine. And then them opening in the exact moment I need to go through, and vice versa, coming and going on multiple occasions, and going to Europe with very little money, and feeling like how are you going to do it? And I'm like, I'll just make it happen, and doing 16 countries, and having the most amazing lavish time, and not feeling limited by my funds the whole time either. And so, and like trusting that state, and also really feeling at this time we're at this like real tipping point where it's like, what the hell is happening out there? Like, is everything okay? I wanted to go do something over there on the other side of the world, and feeling that uncertainty and the noise and the contraction. And you and I were talking about on the way in, it does feel harder to tune in at the moment. And you said you've been hearing that a lot from people too right now. And I feel like that's why it feels important to be speaking about this. And
Totally.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with a friend this week, and I said something like, I feel really inspired to just keep channeling and anchoring the frequency of union on this planet at this time, like just keep holding that in my system, because I believe that it is the alchemy to so much of what's happening. It's like that willingness to keep holding the truth of who we are. And actually a theme that really came up in my retreat just recently, I was giving a transmission, I was speaking about some things, and I was saying it's not just who we are, we have to remember what we are, and the bigness of what, and that when we choose to live by that pulse and that thing where it's like, no, I trust the border's going to open, and I'm going to get myself to Europe, and I can feel that it's going to keep opening. It's not because of who you are, it's because of what you are. It's because of the thing that's guiding you to take the steps so that you can live as what's being asked of you. And I think when we can start to expand past the limitation of just Hannah and just Melody and just us as an individual, and remembering what we are and like the web of what we are so much, and it's vulnerable and it's risky, and it's both freeing and also terrifying.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it that it's not terrifying, but how our relationship of how do we keep trusting. And when I think this is something that's really up for me at the moment. It's like when I feel like I can't hear, what do I feel like I know that can just take me in the next step? Because I think that's something that especially when we're wanting to create from this pulse, like from this intuition, from this aliveness, it's like we want to have all the circumstances, like how much easier it would be to choose Europe when you've got $20,000 sitting in your bank account, right? It's like, oh, I've got the circumstances, I'm going to be good, everything's going to be comfortable. And I think we can get frozen of, I won't take the next step. And I think that's the thing that I'm always anchoring into of, am I willing for it to be a wrong step, but still a step, as opposed to no step? And I think that's the thing that I'm in such deep practice with at the moment, where it feels like I can't fully hear and everything. Like I take a step and then it's like, can you go this way? Or I want to go here, and then my flight's being cancelled and all of these things, but just what's the next step? And how do we keep moving?
I wish I had that like 6 months ago, a little bit more anchored in myself. I feel like I've been learning that. And I've noticed in myself, like overly identifying with the perceived failure, and then how paralyzing that can be. It's like, oh, I really don't want that to happen again. And what I'm witnessing, having typically worked with women, is that I feel like potentially women struggle with this a little bit more, whereas men are kind of taught to get smacked down and get back up, and like, you know, to even with courting women, to like get used to rejection, and like, so totally generalizing, but I do feel what I notice in women is that they can identify so deeply with the knowing, and if they're wrong, it threatens that, and of course that's so uncomfortable. But how I really like that, how can you continue to take the step so at least you're still moving? And if you're following your excitement, I believe that even if it ends you not where you're, like, leads you not where you expected, that it's going to be good for your highest good, regardless if it's not what we thought we needed or wanted.
Yeah, totally. We were speaking earlier about breakups, and with a breakup that I went through last year, and that certainty that I had, and then to have so much uncertainty manifest from that, so much pain, so much heartbreak, so much disillusionment reveal itself, and that ability to learn to retrust and anchor in of, even as you said, even if it's not the outcome, that it's not wrong.
Yeah.
I identified with, I must have it all wrong, and that something that I'm doing must be wrong, or the way that I'm hearing must be wrong, or the thing that I'm listening to must be wrong.
There's something wrong with me to have created this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As opposed to everything's just unfolding, you know, and that we're just like a passenger in the ship.
Yeah.
You know? Hitting up against the waves, and then we're getting the smooth thing.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like since the start of this year, this has been a conversation where I've kind of been rewiring my relationship with God in this sense. And like actually saying that word publicly feels like a big deal because of the association with God and religion that I grew up with. And I know that it has a lot of charge. But like for me, God, spirit, whatever, universe, whatever you want to call it, I feel so much ease in realizing that, like, oh, if I give permission to the field that I am in collaboration with, that I'm not just like a pawn in a boat, or, you know, whatever is getting knocked around, but like, how can I, truly allow myself to surrender, still participate by being like, I feel like I want this, or I want it to feel like that, or I want to head here and take the steps. But yeah, can I actually allow life to carry me a little bit more, and trust in the bigger picture beyond what I couldn't hardly fathom or know, you know?
Totally. And this, like, you know, experience is just experience, but we associate something of like, oh, well, it didn't work out how I wanted it to, therefore it's wrong. And if it works out how we want it to, it's like, oh, I'm a good girl and I get a gold star. Like, I've done everything right for this to go well.
Totally.
You know, and the identification that we have with, like, this is all me. And so if it's wrong, it's also all me.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm being punished. That kind of, and I just don't know if it works like that. I feel like it's just experience. And the more that we can detach of whether it means something about us or not, the freer we are in it. And the more space there is. And like, this is the essence of the art of thriving, right? Of like, how do we let our lives be that artistic, creational aspect where we're participating and creating with something through us. Like that the path, I was listening to a really great podcast a month or so ago, Robert Edward Grant.
Haven't heard of him actually.
And he was talking, he's conversing with an AI, and an AI that he's created, and they were basically saying that we live life backwards, that the path is already created and that we're experiencing it backwards.
Wow.
And I was like, I love this, you know? And some people wouldn't agree with that. Some people would say that our choices are choices, et cetera, and we don't need to go there. But in the sense of like, if we know that we can kind of free fall into something bigger, that we just have to say yes to the things that we feel, the aliveness that pulls us, the excitement that pulls us. Is it just like a little roadmap to my soul path and your soul path? And then it's like unlocking doors of keys of the exact experiences that you and I need to have for the exact openings that we need to experience, so that we can live the map that's already laid out.
I love that. I so much is popping before my head. Firstly, I'm seeing the blueprint of the leaf where you like cut it and you can see its energetic blueprint already exists, or like the branch that's going to be. Plant that.
I got chills.
Yeah. But I'm also just seeing like the state the world's in, and like the bigger picture, the micro reflecting the macro. It's like it can be overwhelming with everything going on. It might feel a little bit self-indulgent to be doing the inner work or whatever it is, or like choose yourself or honor those pieces when we're in a state of survival. But actually, like, the impact that has, like, not only on your immediate network and your community, but actually anchoring that on the earth, like the whole 100 monkey thing. When a certain amount of monkeys learn something, then the other monkeys on the other island that have had nothing to do with them then pick up the same skills.
Yeah, wow.
So it's like, as humans, like, yeah, when certain people start to anchor these knowings and we start to create more ease and that pathway is more fluent, then we are opening up the way for everybody else.
100%.
Yeah, and just thinking about the collective, like, obviously I'm just seeing all the bombs and the planes and everything tragic that's happening at the moment. But also, if we zoom out from, maybe something happens to us that seems really bad as an individual, but that in hindsight, years down later, we can see the bigger picture of how that led us to a certain realization or a certain thing. I hope, I believe, I trust that on a bigger collective level, we're going through a similar experience of purging and excavating these old programs to have it all really be looked at and come to the surface. And
100%. And unfortunately, I don't even know if it's unfortunate, I just think it's factual. I do think that the only way out is in. I think that is the vital key part. It's like, we've been doing these patterns. What's happening right now is not new.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for centuries. And so it's like something has to rewire within the way that we're navigating to actually create something new. And I do believe it's like, we got to get to work.
Yeah.
Like, let's get busy. That kind of feeling. And it doesn't, and this is like the separation of believing that we can change it ourselves individually, but also understanding the vital role that we play. And that if we don't, it's like we're not opening the door with the key that we have, Yeah,
beautiful. I'm just being brought back to your workshop at Roots. So I got to receive from Melody at Roots Festival in Sydney, All Women's Festival, and like I was telling you before, it was truly the one that the only one I really took a lot away from myself and where I was at, and the biggest piece felt like the conversation around what are you serving, and I'd love if we can go into that, because your transmission of it was just so beautiful.
Yeah, I did a massive piece on this on my retreat just recently, and like tapping into our why. And the why has to be, because when you wake up in the morning and you watch the news, it's like, what does sexuality have any imprint? Like, how's that going to help right now? Like, freeing women in their bodies, how's that going to help? And it's like, if you cannot find how it is going to help, then we have a problem on why we're doing this work. And so we have to get honest of our own internal why, and then also our piece of like, I'm really clear that I'm doing a mission, and Caitlin Erica, who was there, and she was saying, I was having a conversation with her and I was telling her that I appreciate her work and her translation of things. And she was like, yeah, it's kind of like, yes, Lieutenant, like that kind of feeling. Like, we're all just on the path, just saying like, yes, we're off. And that's really how it is, and us being able to serve something through us greater than us is such a vital, again, it's not about Hannah and it's not about Melody and it's not about the life that I want to live. It can be about the life that I want to create as a example and reflection of truth, of like, you want to drive a Beamer, not because it's fancy and it's egoic and those kind of things, but because it's an honest reflection of maybe parts of yourself, and when we can live in that authentic alignment, what that does for the planet and how important that is. But if we can't find what it is that we're serving that's deeper, that's bigger, that's more honest than us, it's like there's no depth. There's nothing to anchor and plug back into when we have these days of what is happening in the world, and like, are we progressing? Is things getting louder? Why is it getting louder? I thought we were moving forwards. I thought things were alchemizing. I thought things were changing. I thought we were doing more, feeling more connected.
Yeah.
You know,
as a kid I thought I was on a completely different planet to the one we're on now. What's happened?
it feels like that.
Yeah.
It feels like that. It feels, yeah. And also I feel like as we expand and as we get wider in our consciousness, where we are collectively feels even more limiting and backwards. You know, it's like, this is not resonant with where we're going at all. Like, this needs to change.
Yeah.
And so our connection to our own service is like our honest why. Like, why do we think that this is important? What is it about this? And I honestly believe that the integration of the correct energetics, and I think I spoke about this at Roots, it's like that integration between the masculine and the feminine, and that our cells are vibrating at masculine and feminine, whether we like it or not. If you were all feminine, you would be a puddle on the floor. And if you were all masculine, there would be no aliveness, no creativity, no pulse, right? So that integration is actually what does shift the planet.
Yeah.
Like, us all coming into resonance of that integration inside of our beings, but then also the integration to be able to hear, what is my assignment? What is being asked of me? How do I communicate connection, creativity, truth, love, honesty, whatever it is that are. And it's not actually also just whatever it is, but it's also like the truth. What's my way of translating that? And how do I keep saying yes to that?
Yeah. And it's not necessarily going to look like what you and I do. You know? It's like you could be like, I actually had a woman on my retreat a couple of years ago in Greece who she was a soil regeneration person, and she like was in a key role with like implementing systems to support that process. And like, being on a water retreat, she was like, oh my God, I hadn't considered water's role in this and the importance of that. You know, it's like, it could be like in a quiet corner of some room somewhere, and it's like, if you're like listening to this is where the earth and spirit is asking me to stand right now and plug into and share, like, that is monumentally epic and really excites me. And I just imagine if everyone on the planet was doing that.
100%. And I fully believe, because I think for so many people, they're like, what's my purpose? Like, what am I doing? I don't have this clear thing. And I honestly know that we are all put on the planet with purpose. It's no coincidence. So it's not just random that you're here. You know, it's not just like, oh yeah, let's just send Hannah down there. Just off you go, just have fun. It's like, it's purposeful. Everything is intentional, and there's no coincidence. So it's like, how do we keep tapping into, and I think that is a like really beautiful part of the journey, is learning your uniqueness through the expression, whether it's through movement, whether it's through prayer performance, whether it's through music, whether it's through poetry, whether it's through soil regeneration, whether it's through listening to the waters, like whatever it is that you feel your aliveness pulling you through, it's like, keep following that, keep listening. And actually, because I think there's I want to be specific with my language. It's like, that's what service is. It's not about the exchange. It's the exchange through energetic alignment. And I think how we know when we're in alignment with something is like, it gives us life, right? It gives us vitality, it gives us joy. So if I go and sing down at the river, I'm not like getting anything from it other than my joy, my expansion, my radiance, my pleasure. And that's the exchange, right? And so how do we find the things where we get the true exchange of what it is, so that we can live in more of our essence? Does that make sense?
Totally, yeah. I'm just reflecting on my experience in your workshop, and like, you know, I feel like for myself, you took us through this beautiful practice of like embodying the inner queen, and like connecting with what it felt like to open up into that channel of service and can plug in. And I just burst into tears, because I was like, wow, this all started for me, everything I do from a place of service, but naturally along the way, it's like, oh, I want to reach a certain level of success or finances, and it then kind of becomes about the self, more about the self, but still weaved in with service, and there's this oscillation. But to like radically plug back in to that current, it's like, how could anything else for me in that moment, how could anything else be like more worthwhile than feeling that? It's like a false power. It's like, come look at the shiny thing, when it's like you've actually got that there all the time. And yeah, really grateful for that. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It's like, especially as women in more unconventional work, I guess you would say. And I think also in spiritual community and like the starving artist, you know, in the spiritual community always being broke and these kind of things. And it's like, we can unplug from that, and Hannah as a woman and Melody as a woman can have desires, like that you want to live somewhere that feels creatively inspiring and expansive and opening and filled with beauty, and these can be values.
Totally.
And they can be things that we can integrate, and wanting to create wealth. It's like, we need wealth in heart-centered leaders. We need more wealth so that we can do more things like this, that we can have more expansive conversations and more real wisdom shared out in the world. And like, these things cost money, resources to be able to do that. And so it's not that we put that to the side, it's that we integrate it, but that we don't forget. Because when it only becomes about that, then we just end up in the same mess that we're already in, that we're trying to plug out from. And like that thing of that connection to the greater thing inside of you that knows whatever it is that lights you up, again, whether it's through prayer, whether it's through painting, whether it's through dancing, however it shows up, it's like that thing where we lose sense of time. And it's where like timelessness exists. I've got full chills. Timelessness exists, and we can just be in the essence of ourselves, like the true essence of ourselves. How do we do more of that? How do we create space for more of that? How do we create more opportunities for all of us to be in our magic? You know? I'm
curious, do you see purpose and service as the same thing? Yes.
Yeah, this is so funny. I was thinking yesterday when I was flying down here, I was like, I'm so grateful that I have equal sense of my desire to live as love, but that also to like fulfill and create from love. And that I have this integration of both of these pieces, where my purpose is, it like lights me up, it brings me energy. It's like the thing that I'm like, and then to live as love is also my purpose, right? So I'm so grateful for the weaving of those. And I experience service as like, it's not about you, it's not about me, it's not about me serving you, it's about me serving a greater intuition and a greater thing. And I am in obedience with that thing. And then through that service, I feel like that's what gives me a sense of purpose. That I know what it is like to feel purposeless. And I think as kind of creative women, when you go through those periods of, and this is why coming all the way back, like why that why is so important, because purposelessness is a disconnection to the why. When we fully feel our why, it might not mean that we don't go through voidal spaces or empty spaces, or like, I don't feel creatively turned on, I have nothing I want to produce right now. Bless you. But it's, my why is still there. I have this thing that's still anchoring me. And so my service is almost like what creates my purpose. Because purpose to me is like a sense of fulfillment. It's like a sense of I'm participating and contributing to the planet in a way that feels most honest, whether it's like being a mother, you know, there's nothing more purposeful than that, to wake up and feel like I'm contributing to how you grow up and to who you are as a human. And so, and that's also service. And so I feel like there's interweaved, but I do feel like you can create a sense of purpose that actually isn't connected to service, and that's almost like emptiness. you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason I ask is because I also went through a big period of like, what's my purpose? Years ago. And then if I don't have a purpose, then I don't have a function for being here. Then why am I on this planet? Like that whole rabbit hole. I had a couple of years of depression from that spiral, specifically from that thread. And I feel like for me, I remember working with a teacher at one point, and she was like, I feel your purpose is purely to create. And something about that gave me the freedom to be like, oh, well, then I can do whatever I want. I'll just follow the excitement. And but yeah, on a deeper level now, tuning into, for me, it's like they do coexist, and they are absolutely intertwined and pivotal to each other. And at the same time, like, and everything that I feel is purposeful actually does for me tie into some sense of service when I really dissect it.
Yeah, totally. And I think like we can do things that we feel are, it's like, okay, if I book a flight to Mexico, for example, what is the purpose of it? Is it to go and rest? Is it to go and rejuvenate? Is it to create? Is it to co-collaborate? Is it to connect with this person? Like, what's the purpose? Like, what's the meaning of it? And I feel like through service, you find your meaning. You find your meaning of your life, you know, whether it's to be a singer, whether it's all of these outlets that we can have. And I feel like that, to me, is the essence of purpose. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice. I'd love to circle back around to, you were talking about these, and for those who are listening who are like, what do you mean? I just love to see, when we say masculine, feminine poles in the being, we're talking yin yang, like we're not necessarily assigning gender, but like the natural polarity that exists within everything. I loved what you spoke about in your workshop around this, and like how to indicate if it's out of balance.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I think with this thing, because this conversation comes up so much and people are like, oh, we don't have masculine and feminine. And it's like, no, we actually do. There is existence that takes place. It's like what keeps life moving. It's like you can't have one without the other. They both are present at all times, 100%. And you know whether you're in or out of alignment. You can't have a healthy masculine internally and an unhealthy feminine. It's either they're both coexisting and supporting each other, or they're not. They're both thriving together and weaving for creation, expansion, resonance, or they're depleting and killing each other. So you either have like a really lazy part of your creative essence, and then you've probably got like a really harsh bully inside of you that's like, bitch, get to work, like do more, let's go, come on, get to the gym, more, and your aliveness is dying, you know, and that's where they're both off. You wouldn't need to be like pushing yourself to go to the gym if it was just true and alive and if it was honest, you know? And parts of us do need that part where it's like, I know you feel better when you go to the gym, so let's go. And it's like, okay, I'll go to the gym, you know, these things. And so how do we get these parts of us to live in synergy together? And you know when it's in alignment or it's not, it's because it gives you more life. If everything's depleting you, it is showing you that somewhere, if you are really kind of in a like creative swamp, it's showing you that something is out of its energetic most, like its optimum potential, its optimum expression. Something is not it moving in optimum, right? And so the way that our energetic system is, it's always giving us indications of what do I need more of? Do I need to integrate more structure? Do I need to, because if we have like a creatively, do you know what I mean when I say creatively heavy system? It's like you feel stagnant, you feel stuck, you're kind of like heavy, swampy, those kind of energetic things. It's like, cool, what do I need? I probably need to start implementing structure, getting up at a specific time, going for a walk when I first wake up in the morning, like the basics, you know, but these are energetic structures for our aliveness to start to thrive within. And I think for a lot of women, especially in feminine teachings, as we've been taught like, oh, just rest more and just like live in your magnetism and just do less. My system, like where my energetic capacity is, the less I do, the more heavy I get, the more sleepy I become, the less creativity I'm doing, the more kind of disconnected from my optimum I'm living as.
Yeah.
And so I think this integration of the yang, it's like, yeah, we need these yin periods, but that integration of the yang to actually get us going.
Yeah.
And I feel like as a woman, I'm thriving in my creativity. That's like my best version of myself, my most openness, my most alive, that kind of sensation. And so it's like I need periods of rest, but I need periods of a lot of output and doing. And I think, you know, when the energy's there, you got to work with it.
Yeah.
You got to ride it. Like that's the best time, not slow it down, like get it going.
That was a real like, oh damn, when you were saying like you can tell if it's out of balance if you're feeling tired in one direction from doing less, like, you know, not necessarily tired from doing more, but the sluggishness of doing less. I was like, oh my god, I needed to hear that, because I feel that with myself it's like, I just want to be able to be in my softness and you know, like bleed and lie down. And my mum's always like, I think you should move more. And I've always struggled to get to the gym. I feel like I want to, and I'm this year, but like I've never really had to. And it's like, you should, automatically shuts down the desire to do so, where it's like, now I want to age well for me, so I'm going to go to the gym. But yeah, that was really awesome takeaway.
Yeah, it's like we shouldn't be tired by life.
No.
We're tired because everything that we're doing is out of alignment. And so we're like, oh, let's just rest more. And like, let me just do less things. But that is also killing our potential of what it is that we're actually here to create and birth.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a sweet spot. And I think that constant adjustment of, oh, I need to pull back here. Okay, now I need to go. And being in right relationship with that, because we know what happens when we just keep going is burnout. But then when you don't do anything at all, it's kind of just like collapse and disservice, and it's, we're no longer moving and listening.
Yeah, I find when I have consistent routine, I feel my absolute best, and I feel like I'm kicking goals and I feel plugged in, and it's like, and also working a way that works for each individual, you know. It's like for me, I figured, okay, I need little broken up bits of everything, but like scheduled in where I can go bang, bang, bang. And like, you know, I'm scheduling in the movement and the rest and the on time in the morning when my brain's like a bit more quick, and that's when I do my writing. And it's taken me a while to figure that out, but now I'm like, oh my God, wish we knew this earlier. Yeah.
Totally. And I feel like that refinement of everything, it's like, cool, I want to do the writing, I want to do my practice, I want to wake up in the morning, I want to go to the gym, and I've got a job and I need to do this, you know. And it's like, we have to be specific in, and I think this is also something that I say a lot to the women in my field, is like, it's not just about you being in your practice at home and anchoring your surrender and your essence at home. It's like, who are you out there? Can you actually maintain that when you're running from job to job, and when your boyfriend sends you something triggering and all of these things? It's like, our practice needs to be lived.
Totally.
And so we can't just have all these things in place as like, they're almost like crutches. You know, we need them to actually be more than crutches and like an internal structural support, so that we can go and live and create.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I feel like I've witnessed a similar thing with like, you know, the whole norm that hormonally it's like, oh, I'm just about to bleed, and women are having like total overwhelm, emotional shutdowns and breakdowns. And it's like, in my experience, it does not have to be so full on when your hormones are in balance and when you're in balance and everything's working optimally. Like because my skin a couple of years ago just went into this huge freak out, had really bad acne, took me a really long time to figure out it was my hormones. Got that sorted, and now it's like the day I bleed, and I'm like, unless there's something that needs addressing, it's like the tide recedes enough for us to like have a look at what's on the sand. Like if there's something that I need to look at, that'll come up. But otherwise I'm like, I feel just as joyous as when I'm ovulating, you know, and I just want to share that it does not have to be so full on, and there's ways to support us in that. But it's become so normalized. It's like, oh, this is just it. This is like, a part of being a woman and bleeding and like just having these massive breakdowns. And
yeah, and I think also, you know, there's so much around like catering to the sensitivity of, I don't even want to say women, but just us generally, especially with kind of like nervous system movements and all of these kind of things. These are things that we need to be aware of, but we're not like delicate flowers. Oh, I might have a day where I'm a delicate flower, you know, and like I need you to speak to me slightly softer and like, oh, could you approach me just like gentler? But it's like, we're built to live.
Yeah.
Like we're built to exist, and it's not
in rugged environments too.
Rugged environments. Like we're living collectively in a very harsh environment right now. That's collectively, and then we can also live like ruggedly environmentally too.
Yeah.
And that sensitivity is like, yeah, we're okay.
Yeah.
Like we can do hard things.
Yeah.
Let's stop pretending that we need like a blanket fort around us the whole time to protect us from like the evil things out there. It's like, no, I don't like the word powerful in this sense, but it's like, no, we're powerful and we can create and we can endure life, not because we have to, but because it's part of life. You know, it's not like a punishment of life that we need to endure hard things. It's a capacity thing of that we can, and we can often do a lot more than we want to, and we don't like that. And I think that especially in the feminine movement, which is our world, right? It's like all these feminine teachings of us being soft and surrendered and spacious and let's rest all the time and
let's do some ninja training.
Totally. Literally, like, let's fight. Let's wrestle each other. But it's like we can do, there's that activation. And I think especially now, I woke up this morning and I was like, I'm a full spiritual warrior, you know, like let's go. I'm on with this thing. And yeah, I think that's a muscle that we need to bring back into life, that our generation has spent a long time deconditioning the distortion of our parents' generation, where it was closed, rigid, hard, force, push, a lot of that. And it's like, no, but now we can build something. And now that we've rested and we've healed, and it's like, what are we doing with that? And we were speaking about this earlier, and I'd actually love to hear you speak on this, of like that movement from healing to creation.
Yeah, I think it's so easy to get stuck in like the loop where we almost overly identify with the drama. And it becomes this ability, it becomes this pattern of I maybe like a little bit of an excuse fortress. Like I can't show up for that because I'm, you know, or I can't do this because or X, Y, Z. And it's like, it's so important to go in and excavate. And there are places where we can do that. But I think at some point we have to be like, okay, where we focus our energy and our attention is where we go. And it's like you can do the healing and the excavation while orienting yourself and directing yourself towards what am I creating, what am I building, what am I like, what I like to ask at the moment is, who do I want to be in relationship to the thing, whatever the struggle is. It's like, who do I want to be in relationship to that? Like living back home at the moment, helping my family with all the extra stuff that's in the house, I'm like, oh, this is really overwhelming. And there's like part of me that's like, I'm sensitive and I'm really sensitive to all the density and all the stuff. And I'm like, but who do I want to be in a relationship to that, is like anchored in my center, able to seamlessly support them in decluttering and be able to like have a sense of home in myself so that I'm not impacted by that. Doesn't mean it's not hard on some days, but I think the shift is, it's a choice to, how can I take everything I've learned and now put it out there in the world and lead with it from that place of service and amplify my gifts, and naturally things are going to excavate in that process, but you're heading in a different direction instead of, and you know, it's, if we're spiraling, it's good. You're spiraling down, you're spiraling up, there's movement, you're not going in circles. But I think there is a reorientation I would like to see in the collective field around this work of like this, you know, it's like we got to go to the big cathartic releases and the crying, and if we're not experiencing that containers, is it like breaking through? And it's like, no, how can we amplify capacity? How can we heal while we're doing that? And how can we anchor in even more of our soul uniqueness and our gifts and what we're here to contribute?
Totally. I love this. I feel like, you know, the obsession that we see of having like a regulated nervous system. And I'm like, that is a privilege. You know, like life does not require your regulation. It requires you to get on with things. And the constant obsession with like, oh, I just need this, and oh, I don't have capacity. And actually, me and a good friend were talking about this the other day, and I was like, capacity is just priority. When somebody tells you they don't have capacity, what they mean is this is not a priority, that they don't want to meet you in whatever you're wanting to be met in, they don't want to see you the day that they want to, you know, those things. It's like, sure, we can all meet our edges, but when we're constantly using capacity as an excuse, it's like, no, you just need to shift your priorities and get clearer on like, what is your value? As you were saying, like, who do I want to be in relationship to this? Because you could easily say to your parents, like, oh, I don't have capacity. Like, I just need to sit in my room for the next 10 minutes and just like regulate myself. And it's like, but who do you want to be? Like, what's your priority and what's your value?
Yeah. I'm reading this book at the moment called Essentialism. And it's basically like how to be radically honest with like what is essential, and get really quite brutal in all areas of your life of like, if it sits around below a 90% in terms of valuing, then it's an immediate no. So if you're hiring new employees and they were almost the right fit, and they're like, but maybe like at 80-70% of what you're looking for, then it's a no. And like how in doing that, and also we're talking about this thread around when you're in that connection to plugging into service and cultivating that inner knowing and activating from there, getting more honest with yourself. Like this is cultivating a relationship with that piece, it gets easier. But it also, I feel, applies to like every day-to-day things, like even the clothing we pick. It's like, how can we refine in a way that just supports us to become more efficient with our energy, with our output, with our immediate environment? Yeah, I feel like when someone says I don't have capacity, it's like, sure, fair enough. With the understanding of what they're really saying is like, I'm not prioritizing it. But if the people who are saying I don't have capacity and aren't in touch with like what they're really prioritizing, it's like they're at risk of being totally flooded by everything, and then missing out on things that maybe are important, but not feeling like they can act or respond to those things because they're just like, you know, flooded in by everything.
Totally. And that, like, so when we say we don't have capacity, and when we acknowledge that actually perhaps it means this isn't a priority, it's for the individual to then get honest of, okay, cool, because you said 90%, right? And so if it's at 90%, at least we know it's the closest thing to truth. Even if it's in the clothes that we're wearing, it's like, this is the most authentic expression of who I am. This is what I want to wear in the world. And these are the people I want to have in my life. And this is the food that I want to eat. I might want to have a cupcake every now and then, but 90% of the time, like, this is how I want to eat. And so it's the closest thing that we can keep attuning to truth, right? To our deepest authenticity, and then how life then is looking way more honest. It might not be, you know, but it's as close as we're gonna get it. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. And then I also look at some of the people in my life that are deep leaders of this work, that have huge capacity, and just how deeply available all of them are for connection. And this is something that I have learned in my refinement of leadership and those kind of things. Again, the question of who do I want to be, and the places where at the beginning of my journey, I didn't want to be so available for connection. And that actually connection is one of my highest values. And that I want to be able to meet people, not at overextension of myself, but for people and for myself to have an honest understanding of what it means to be in true connection. You know, does that make sense? And I think we forget in our world, because we're surrounded by people that are so connectable all the time, but how starved we are of that, and just what a gift it is for you just to slow down and be present with somebody, you know, and that how impactful that is, even if like, not necessarily that your capacity isn't there, but maybe it's not somebody that you want to build a friendship with, or all of these kind of things. But that connection is such a gift for people. And I think, we can be in the refinement of our lives, of what's the closest thing around us. And then also not forgetting that our width to just be available is so rare. It's so rare. And I am in the inquiry of how do I keep creating space to be more of that, that not everything needs to be, that they need to be my closest friend, or that it needs to be totally 100% honest or resonant or true. It's like, who am I in the world, and what is that enriching people with?
Yeah, I really love that. Yeah, it's like we can get, like, yeah, with the bigness and the busyness of everything, we can get quite protective of, like, you know, what feels like our perfect little bubbles and worlds and friendships and things. And I think that's fine to an extent, but at some point it's like realizing that we're not separate. And actually, like, when we get, what I've noticed in myself is, like, as I get more refined at being able to say yes to the things that are a yes, and just a very honest, kind no to the things that are a no, how much more space that creates for everything.
Totally.
Everything. And it's like, sometimes we need to do that maybe to begin with in a quite an extreme way, so that we can say no to more things, so that we, like, got the space to kind of recalibrate and figure out what we need, like going through those rest pockets. But naturally, yeah, it's like, how do we want to emerge and then go out and relate with the world? And that's why I love what you said about treating our morning practice, taking it out into the world. It's like, I was on the plane last night and I'm watching everyone get really anxious about getting off, and I'm just sitting there kind of really enjoying watching the people and just focusing on my breath. And I'm watching people look at me in a way where they're like, what? You know, there's just a little bit of curiosity there. And then my bag was a bit further down from the line of people that were trying to go out, and the guy in front of me was like, do you want to go? I was like, no, it's okay, my bag's there. And he turned around and helped it, and had 3 men pass it down. And I, you know, it's a simple thing, but I was just like, wow, I'm not in a rush, and look how supported I am. And I didn't have to wait for everyone to get off the plane to get my bag, but it was all right if I did. And yeah, anyway, side tangent. But yeah, I feel like in the refinement of that, there is more space for everything, and yeah, more clarity.
Totally. And some of the biggest gifts that I've received from people that I may consider as, like, more embodied or further along the path or whatever it is, their patience with me, you know, of just that gift of somebody being patient with you in their essence, and how much I get to receive from that, of, oh, people want to slow down and they want to be present with me, and they can be present with me, and they have the time to be present with me, and they have the capacity to be present with me, and they're willing to. And yeah, just, I feel like that is such a gift that we are starved of when we have so much rigidity of, no, that's out of alignment, and no, 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 no. And then somebody's just like big open heart. You know Zach Bush?
Yeah.
I saw him do a talk at Medicine Festival last year, and he got off the stage and he must have hugged, no exaggeration, about 500 people.
Wow.
The queue of people just waiting to go and speak to him, and his capacity and his willingness just to stay and smile and acknowledge and be with each of them. Wow. And I was like, yeah, more of that. Like, how do I do more of that?
Yeah.
How do I not get burdened by that? How do I see that as, like, a gift of connection and opportunity and richness? Yeah, and I just received, I have another good friend of mine, Kevin, Source Radiance on Instagram. He's like a big leader, works with Sacred Sons and those things, and his capacity to acknowledge people in the world. And I'm like, yes, we need more of that. Like, how do I do more of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I guess it's like, you know, he's obviously reached a place in himself where he's not worried about people taking from him. He's able to just like fully be in that, and that's beautiful.
Yeah, and he would say, in reflection to that, nobody can take anything from you.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, Kevin, thank you.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, like those boundaries that we put in when we're in such deep refinement of our lives, it's like, when you really are masterful of your energy, nobody can take anything from you anyway.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But I totally appreciate that it can feel like that when you're like on the back foot and you're depleted, that it can feel like that. And it's, but yeah, and the strengthening and the fortifying of self, like even when we're in that state, yes, I agree. But I feel like I had this really quite profound moment once where, like, being on the dance floor, you know, after being on the stage, and like people, particularly men who are in a drug-induced space, like wanting to come and interact, and like feeling so centered in myself that they could come right up to me and I wouldn't feel threatened or impacted, and just be able to hold my center and be like, no, like lovingly, like, no, or whatever's needed to be like, thanks, I see you're trying to connect, but no, thank you. And not feel like I need to be like, to really protect. I think that's just that just comes with the landing more and more in self. And yeah, I'd love to ask you, because we've talked a lot about how to plug into that inner listening and that sense of connection with service, connection with the divine, to be able to be in that listening. What would you recommend to listeners to be able to support cultivating that relationship, especially when it is so noisy and hard to listen right now?
Yeah, I feel like we make it more complicated than it needs to be so often. For me, it's nature and dance. Dance is my foundational practice. Like when things get really noisy, it's like, where's my practice? Where's my anchor? And honestly, that's my solution to most of because I feel like all my energy can come back here and I can start to really cultivate and hear and listen. And so creatively, when I'm feeling stuck, if I'm in a relational dynamic with a partner and things are feeling sticky and there's patterns starting to play out, if I can't generate wealth or those kind of things, it's like, where's my relationship to my body? And that's my instant for me, is that willingness just to be in practice, willingness just to feel, willingness to let the aliveness and the current that's there first off thaw anything that needs to be thawed, and then once that opens, I can hear so much clearer. So yeah, time in nature and body.
Yeah.
Nice. What are yours?
I firstly, just acknowledging that, I really felt the shift coming back to Melbourne from the Northern Rivers this morning. I was like, whoa, it's like re-entering a field. And I was reflecting on like, what is that? And I'm like, oh, it's just, there's so much more nature up north. And it's like, there's so much more space to go for a walk on the amazing coastal beaches with the big, loud, noisy waves and the rainforest right there. For me, I usually, mine is to go straight to the water and like just be in stillness and like look at the water. And like any way that I can create a sense of inner stillness, and that changes depending on where I am and what I'm needing. It's either, sometimes it's like just dancing with myself and looking at a candle. Sometimes it's steadying my breath. Sometimes it's being in nature, but like creating enough room to drop out of the head so that like, the other intelligence can come through. And it's actually most of the time where I've received direct, clear guidance, it's been tea ceremony, and it's been things that I have not on a human level agreed with and been quite confronted by. Like I've been like, what's the next step? It's like this. I'm like, no.
Not that step. Can I have another one?
Yeah, I don't know. I really like feel sick and nauseated by it. And then things are played out. And it's like, oh yeah, that was the way to go. And
do you follow the instructions?
Yeah. Actually, with one in particular, I didn't even have a chance to, because I was coming to terms with needing to ask, because it was said you need to ask this person for this, and I was like, ugh. And before I had a chance to, I was gearing myself up to it. They offered. But tea had just been like, they're the pathway. And so I was like, okay. So yeah, like I really trust that deeply. Yeah, and learning to more and more. Yeah.
What do you think it is with tea ceremony that makes it so loud? I think is the word, or obvious.
I think it, like the being with the pouring of the tea, like I watch that, and like the drinking gives the cognitive brain something to do. And then just like sitting and being in contemplation and having the space to ask specific questions, or like just feel what sensations are moving. Yeah, that's just feels like has been the perfect formula. Yeah.
I saw this reel on Instagram the other day, and my teacher, she always talks about puzzles, but I saw this reel on Instagram that said, I made my £1 million business through this, and it's just her doing a puzzle. And I think that's one of those things. It's like the cognitive brain has something to do and be entertained by, and then you can just hear so much through it too. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, I need to get a puzzle.
I love that. Yeah, I think it's so easy to get swept up into I don't have the time to create that. But even if it's just 5 minutes, like for me when I was in a good routine of doing just I rotate, what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But like one in particular that really helped as a foundational thing was just 5 minutes of 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out breath. And that brings coherence to the mind and heart. And I noticed considerably how much more my capacity expanded for stress. It was nowhere near as easy to like feel wobbled. And yeah, that's what I like about this podcast is like get to tap into so many different people who have different things to support that.
Yeah, the body for me.
Yeah. If you were in your final moments of this lifetime and your grandchild asked you, have you got one piece of wisdom for me? Is there anything that comes through?
Yeah, there's two things. The first one is trust yourself, and the second is keep saying yes. Yeah, I think one of the biggest, and this is like the dichotomy of this work, is that we're so taught to say no. Like say no to the thing that isn't of truth and say no to the things that aren't of alignment. And then a big thing for me in my opening and my expansion was like, start saying yes. And I think, my teacher, she would always talk about when you say no to something, you don't just say no to that thing, you say no to every single door that is opened potentially behind that. And so when we're constantly, especially if you've got a system, like when you're moving from survival mode into thriving, a lot of the conditioning, well, mine was anyway, my system was so shut down that no felt safe. That no was, I can manage here. And I was so scared to open the door. And so when we say yes, we're not just saying yes to that door, we're saying yes to every single opportunity. So for example, I said yes to go to Roots. You said yes to go to Roots. That leads us to having the conversation. Then you ask me, do you want to come on the podcast? I say yes to coming to Melbourne. So now I open all the doors to not just sitting here with you, but any other door that wants to open whilst I'm in Melbourne, And I think saying yes, has just changed my life dramatically. It reconnected me to my hunger. And I always wanted to live, like I always knew that there was potential for me to live a big life. And saying yes was my gateway to being able to have access to that. And I think yes is going to get all of us more places than no will. No is like, I'm saying no to all the opportunities, where yes is saying I'm saying yes to everything, whether it's right or wrong, whether it's good or bad, whether it's taking me there or off path, I'm always going to end up back. And yes, just keep saying yes.
I love that. Yeah. I just like saw a few things that I've been like, I don't know about. And I'm like, do you want to do it? Yes, then make it happen.
Totally. Yeah. And like that willingness when we feel the yes of just keep trusting yourself, girl. Like just keep trusting it. It might not be perfect. It might be messy. You might end up with a broken heart. You might spend more money than you should have. Like when I moved to America, this is such a good example of this. I put down a deposit on an apartment and I ended up getting scammed. And I was flying to Austin with nowhere to stay. And I messaged this girl that I'd met literally the day before at a Sacred Sons event. And she lived in Austin. And I was like, can we hang out when I'm there? I'm moving there. She was like, yeah. I ended up messaging her saying, you don't by any chance have a place to stay. I ended up living with her for 6 months. Her and her housemate became best friends of mine. And it's like, I'd spent that money because I thought that having an apartment was the right thing, ended up being a scam. And yeah, it's just like, just keep saying yes and just trust that the yes is going to get you where you're meant to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. I've got a mini example of that I'll spice in too. I was going to Glastonbury to see a friend I'd met in Africa like 10 years before. Beyonce was in town, so everything was booked out. There was one room available that was like kind of average, but it was kind of the only thing, and it was very expensive. And we were both just like, it just feels like it needs to happen. Like we're not going to see each other otherwise. This is what we want to do. So we said yes. Got there, the room had accidentally been double booked. So they're like, oh, we don't have a room for you. We'll ring around, we'll find you a room somewhere else. We ended up getting this fabulous room for free for the fuck around, and a free dinner and free drinks and free transport. And I was like, oh, he said yes, but it felt a bit contracted, and it was like, here you go.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And it's just like all the doors keep opening.
Yeah.
Epic. Love that.
How can people work with you at the moment? What's on the horizon?
Finding me on Instagram is the best way because I'm always launching and moving things. But I have a in-person retreat in November in Costa Rica. So that's one of the best ways to come and be in person with me. And I'm just about to launch a 6-week program called Siren, Into the Dark Feminine and Your Erotic Power. And then I also have Queen, a 10-month leadership, feminine-led leadership and service program, which is just this full mastermind of frequency work and essence work and service. And yeah, it's magic.
Nice.
Yeah.
I feel very inspired by you running a 10-month container. Yeah, that's amazing.
I love the long ones because I love being a part of the journey. And I think with these shorter programs, it's like they come in and then they get somewhere and then they leave. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I want to be part of the unfolding.
Yeah, go deeper. Yeah, nice. Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on today. And yeah, this has been, it feels very, very, is poignant the right word? Yeah, feels really important for this time, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the invitation. It's so nice to be here with you.
That's it for today's episode. I hope you found something here that resonates for you to unlock more freedom and vitality in your life. And if there's something you'd love me to dive into on the show, or a guest you'd like me to have on, please get in touch via the Art of Thriving podcast on Instagram and let me know. I'd also love to make this the best episode yet, and I need your help to do that. So please share with your friends who you think could benefit from listening. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with future episodes. We are now also on YouTube, so you can watch these interviews there as well. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.